So what are the best starting races for you? So outside of appearance, each race brings different things to the table, and you should know what each of them does so that when you make a new character, especially if you want to do like a master mode playthrough, you optimize for what that character is good at and what you are trying to do. So Argonians are basically fast. They're good for stealth builds. They're good for like bow builds, dagger builds, short sword builds. They can kind of flex into magic. That's pretty much it. They can water breathe. They have poison immunity. They have 75% disease resist. For the Breton, they are essentially like a tanky magical unit that has increased magic pool, as well as, in my opinion, one of the best passives in the game. So they have 50% magic resist passive. Now, if you haven't played these games before, essentially what that does is if you were to take 100 damage from magic, you take 50. If something were to paralyze you for 5 seconds, it paralyzes you for 2.5. I'm fairly certain that's how that works. Maybe it has a chance for it to fail. That might be how it works in this game. I haven't tested it, but in the original game, I'm pretty sure just all effects, all damage just halved. So if you increase that to 100, then you're immune to magic, basically. But 50% magic resist is insane. They also have 50 increased base magic. They are just really good at being starter mages. They're good at tanking. Their boosted skills are mostly in magic for the most part. So if you want something that's more durable, this is definitely the class. They do have the active ability Dragon Skin, which gives them a 50% shield for 60 seconds, which basically just halves physical damage. So you have half magic damage at all times, and then you have a once per day ability that halves physical, which is pretty big. Dark Elf, they're kind of like off tanky. They have a little bit more starting HP. Their speed is decent. Their overall stats are decent. They have 75% fire resist, which is all like, obviously that's better versus fire than 50% magic resist, but overall it's much worse than 50% magic resist because any magical source that's hitting you is halved. That's a pretty huge advantage. They do have an active ability that allows them to summon an Ancestral Guardian for 60 seconds. So some of these are kind of not clear. The strengths, it kind of gives you an overview, but it doesn't tell you exactly what it does. But these are good to know and to like look into. Next we have High Elf. High Elf has 25% weakness to all elemental damage. So they take more elemental damage, but they have 100 extra starting magicka, and they have the highest starting magicka out of all the classes. Their starting magicka is 200. For Bretons, it's 150. For other classes, it's typically around like 80 to 100. So they like Breton and High Elf are your like magical classes for sure. If you want to just have a huge magic pool, spam spells, summon things, conjure whatever you want, weapons, creatures, heal yourself, shoot fireballs at people, these are the classes for that. It has like a damage weakness to magic, whereas Breton has a damage resistance to magic. So if you want to run a High Elf, you're kind of like a glass cannon. For Imperial, Imperial's kind of weird because it has a lot of like utility. It's mostly a tank. It's mostly trying to be a heavy armor tank. It has no passives, and it has 2 active abilities that can be used once per day. One charms for 30 points or 30 seconds, and then another absorbs 100 fatigue on touch. Both of those are not like character or build defining. They're kind of just like random utilities. Absorbing fatigue is fine. It's not the best thing, but the main advantage of the Imperial is that it is good at Speechcraft and Mercantile, and it also has heavy armor. So it's basically like a tank that can deal damage, run in, kill things, loot, sell stuff, and sell things for more. That's kind of like the idea it's going for. It's also kind of like a good base class that doesn't really excel in anything. It's kind of good at everything. Khajiit is a little bit more polarizing. High base agility, great on stealth builds, decent strength, decent speed, has stealth utility abilities, also has boosted skills in favor of stealth builds and blade and hand-to-hand. So Khajiit has 2 active abilities. It has Eye of Fear, which demoralizes up to level 25 or less for 30 seconds once per day. And then Khajiit has Night Eye that you can turn on for 30 seconds at any point in time, as much as you want. Night Eye is like situationally useful. I never really found it to be essential throughout playing Skyrim or Oblivion or Morrowind. But if you find that it's too dark in some areas, it's like a nice little thing. But basically, Khajiit is like a high-speed thief archetype that doesn't really want to be in open combat and usually wants to go for like stealth, but you can still fight things and it can flex into like light armor and stuff like this. Nord is basically like a heavy armor tank that also has a little bit of a boon in restoration, but it does have low starting magicka. Khajiit has like okay starting magicka, but Nord's is actually quite low. It has 50% resist frost. It also has 2 active abilities. It has Woad, which is 30% shield on self for 60 seconds once per day. So kind of like a weaker version of Dragon Skin from the Breton. And then also Nordic Frost, which is like a frost touch that does 50 points of damage, and that also can be used once per day. Of its abilities, resist frost, that's situationally useful. Same thing with resist fire. Obviously resist magic is better. But the Nord is basically good at heavy armor, tanking because it has high base health, and it has good stats for just general combat. It has a boon in restoration, heavy armor, blunt, block, blade, and armor. So all of these things help it excel. And then we have the Orc. So the Orc is also really similar to the Nord, except it has like a pretty crazy active ability. So the main advantage of the Orc is that it's really good at blunt weapons, heavy armor, and armorer. It actually has 15 armorer, block, blunt, heavy armor as boons, and it also has 25% magic resist. So it's kind of like, and you're looking at high base HP with Orc. So you have some magic resist, you have good base HP, and you're just like a blunt, heavy armor, block with armor, good to go. Jump into combat, fight stuff, repair your armor, block attacks, have a good time, hit things with a hammer, do what you gotta do. Next is Redguard. So Redguard is a fast combat class with Mercantile, can go into light or heavy armor, good base health and strength, Adrenaline Rush gives huge combat stats, and speed to win physical fights once per day. Oh, the other thing about about Orc that I forgot to mention, Berserk, Fortify HP 20, Fortify Fatigue 200, Fortify Strength 50, Drain Agility 100 for 60 seconds, once per day. You lose all of your agility, you gain a huge damage bonus, you get a huge fatigue bonus, and then a slight health bonus. And it allows you to run in and just start hitting things really hard. However, the Redguard active ability, Adrenaline Rush, fortifies agility, strength, speed, endurance by 50 points for 60 seconds, and health by 25 points for 60 seconds. So you're looking at a massive movement increase, a massive damage increase, and also a massive agility increase, as well as a little bit of tanking once per day for 60 seconds. And they also have resist poison 75 and resist disease 75. So these Redguards are a little bit more nuanced than Orcs. They're less specialized. They can run heavy armor or light armor. They have a bonus to both. They also have a bonus to Mercantile, so you can sell things. They also have high athletics of 15, so they're kind of like a faster, less specialized Orc that also has a better active ability. But if you want to run either or, they're more or less interchangeable as like heavy tanks, or if you want to run Redguard as like... Redguard also specializes in blade, where Orc specializes in blunt. So if you want like a blade heavy armor, Redguard could be good for that. Or if you want like a blade light armor, Redguard has good starting stats for that. Whereas Orc is just like straight up heavy armor, blunt, good to go. That's where it excels. Next we have the Wood Elf. The Wood Elf is basically the stealth archer. Now you can run Khajiit and Argonian like stealth archers. They're basically similar. They all have high agility, which scales your archer damage, as well as dagger and short sword damage. So it's passive, resist disease 75, and then it's active, command creature, command level 5 for 60 seconds once per day. That's quite weak. I feel like they've kind of gotten the shaft in some ways. They are ungodly fast though. But that is it for this one. Definitely like and subscribe if you found this useful. And drop a comment as to what races you like to use and how you use them, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.